So, dear friends, let's investigate the alchemy of color as a way of deepening our understanding of Moshe's nature meditations, which are meant themselves as a way of understanding ourselves and our place in this constantly changing world around us. We previously spoke of the colors white and black, which are, in a sense, colors, in another sense, not colors. But they are primary, they're primal. Of course, black is the color of night, white is the color of day. And we saw that black signifies the state in which we undergo a fana, an unraveling, a deconstruction of the persona that we have carried. So already early on in the inner process, in the process of inner unfoldment, one comes to a kind of breakdown, a phase of unknowing, of unraveling. It might feel like a descent into chaos. We've talked about it. That is the stage of black. The first black. Black later manifests in another mode, which is lucid. But this first experience of black is a kind of breaking down to chaos, the prime matter, so to speak, haile, hayullah. And it's only then that the simplicity, the original purity, the pristine quality of the soul prior to manifestation, the original condition of the soul, the immaculate state, it's only then that the immaculate state can be rediscovered. It's a lunar state. It's a very passive state of experiencing in one's being the pure quality of reflecting the divine light. One's initial experience of manifestation is that of being brought into being, being lit up, and lit up with a simple, sheer white light. It hasn't yet refracted into the colors of the rainbow. So light, first inwardly following the fana experience now in Baqa, light first meets us in this white condition, in alchemy known as the albedo, following the nigredo, albedo. But the white condition is not perpetual. It gives way to color. And that's what we're going to be exploring today. Having previously talked about black and white, now we're going to talk about the unfolding colors. Now this unfoldment was noted by the ancient Egyptians, and it informs the architectonics of the pyramids and other monuments, and is reflected in the sacred books that in turn elaborate the meanings of those mystical structures. And that tradition in turn was explicated in the Hellenistic period by Greco-Egyptian alchemists, among whom Olympiodorus. And Olympiodorus lays out the paradigm that eventually came to be referred by the alchemists, referred to as the work of a day, recognizing that manifestation, the unfoldment of manifestation, and the mystical process of realization follows the cycle of the day. And so the sun, when it rises, exudes a white light that fills the sky. And so the daylight is a white light that follows on after the dark of night. But then as the sun makes its way across the sky and begins to descend, there is what is called the golden hour. You know, the golden hour before sunset, when the sun is low on the horizon and a kind of warm sheen suffuses everything. Then the sun reaches right down to the horizon and bursts into a blaze of red, and that's sunset itself, and then disappears, leaving in its wake purplish and bluish and greenish tints before at last disappearing entirely into the pure black of night. So that's the work of a day, that's the cycle of coloration that we witness in the heavens. And the alchemists took this very seriously and saw these colors as significant of the subtle centers in our bodies, as significant of the stages in the unfoldment of the great work. And there's a lot that can be said about this. We're not going to go into so much detail right now, but simply to say that after white comes yellow and red. Sometimes the alchemists didn't pay as much attention to yellow. The most fundamental sequence is black, white, red. But if one wanted a more nuanced, more complete, more complex elaboration, then yellow was always placed between white and red. So today we're going to be speaking about yellow, red, and a little bit about purple. So yellow is the stage known as citrinitas, and this is the stage in alchemy of, calcination. And now Goethe explains the significance of the color yellow in his wonderful book on optics. You know, Goethe's theory of color. There he undertook experiments where he took a piece of turbid glass and held it up against a dark black background, and found that the glass took on a kind of bluish tone. And then he held the glass up against a bright white background and found that glass took on a yellowish tone. So he concluded that the color of black emerging toward visibility, toward manifestation, is blue. And the color of pure white daylight verging toward a degree of darkening is yellow. And so yellow then represents the descent of the soul from its pristine lunar immaculate condition, moving toward manifestation, toward the tangible, toward the physical. Cosmologically now, in terms of esoteric cosmology, we're speaking of the angel soul, the ruh, descending into the jinn sphere to become a jinn, and then from there descending to the earth, to physical manifestation. So this is the development of the nafs. The nafs is related to yellow. Yellow is the color of the nafs. And the nafs physiologically is associated with the belly. So yellow relates to the descent of the angelic condition toward the earth, manifesting in the earth. And yellow is the color of the earth element. When we do the elemental purification breaths, we evoke earth through the color yellow. And you see how in the autumn, the green leaves turn golden and turn yellow and fall to the ground and become brown. Saffron, yellow, brown, these are all earthy qualities, but also qualities of that golden hour, that sense of sunlight touching the earth, everything returning to the earth, heavenly light becoming terrestrialized. Moshe says, giving a yellow flower brings a balance between spirituality and worldly life. And yellow and saffron are very important colors in traditional culture, certainly in India, As Moshe reminds us, love letters are written in saffron, invitations to weddings are written in saffron. Yellow is preferred as the omen a good omen on good occasions. Now, mythologically, yellow is associated with Venus, or you could say in terms astrologically, mythologically, yellow is associated with Venus, which is to say, in Sufi terms, this materialized world is called the Alchemy Husno Shahadat, the world of beauty and witnessing. So the divine beauty, which is otherwise hidden, is manifested, is concretized, is revealed in this landscape of the earth. And this process of manifestation is signified by yellow, and therefore Venus, representing beauty, unveiling of beauty, is very much related to the nafs and to the citrinitas state in alchemy. So we do have an image, Nori, if you could please show from that famous alchemical manuscript, Splendor Soulless, the image of the drowned king saved by Venus. You see, there's the drowned king, garbed in yellow, under the star of Venus. You see the star of Venus shining down, saved from drowning. And so this signifies the alchemical stage of citrinitas, which is, as it were, a descent from the angelic condition to the earthly condition. But let's move along already now. And you find then that, well, as Goethe says, well, I'll read Goethe's own words. He says, as no color can be considered as stationary, so we can very easily augment yellow into reddish by condensing or darkening it. The color increases in energy and appears in red-yellow, more powerful and splendid. So red is the natural intensification of yellow. You could say the maturation, the ripening, the richening of yellow is found in red, which the alchemists describe as rubedo, rubification, and which corresponds to the stage of solution. After calcination is solution. So red, as we know, is it's a passionate color. It's associated with strong feeling, sometimes anger, but also just the full-bloodedness of the fullness of life. Moshe says red is for the development of one's emotional nature. So there's it's not sedate, it's not withdrawn, it's very forthcoming, it's very intense. It's a very intense color. And it's associated with the element of fire, of course. And fire is the color of passion, of ardent love, ishq. And the organ of the heart, of the red, is the heart, the qalb. Just as the nafs in the belly is the organ of the yellow, citrinitas, the qalb in the left breast is the seat of red. These words of Mary Webb are very evocative. I don't know if some of you have read the poems or stories of Mary Webb, but she wrote in an essay, to these red colors belongs ripeness, apple and pomegranate, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. To them belongs the haughty beauty of tropical flowers and the terrible loveliness of fire, and a blood-red blossom with a golden heart is the ancient emblem of passion. So there's a lot of intensity in red. Alchemical emblems of red are vermilion, red lead, poppy of the rock, tear, basilisk, red lion, red rose, red lily, ruby, coral, and sun. And well, could we see another image from the splendor soles, speaking of the red sun. That red sun is often juxtaposed with the white moon. So there is, just as the white moon corresponds to the right side of the chest, the latifa rohia, and the red sun corresponds to the left side of the chest, the latifa qalbiya, the white queen representing this primal state of simplicity and innocence and purity, and the red king symbolizing the fullness of life, which is actualized, intensely realized, deeply felt. So there's a juxtaposition here. There's the central channel of the vertical axis reaching from earth to heaven, but then at the horizontal level, there's this tense juxtaposition between the lunar passivity and the solar activity, the immaculate white and the ripe red. And so the whole mystic process is a spiral. But then if one would continue along that spiral, one is led up from the heart up toward the celestial region once again, and one is drawn toward the purple. And now this might this movement upward might be mobilized by a sense of pain, of loss. There's something in the fullness of life. There's an encounter sooner or later with the wound, with pain. One cannot possibly ripen in this embodied world and enter into the fullness of it without touching upon the pain of life. And it's in assimilating that pain that the red is tinctured and becomes a kind of violet, which gravitates up, floats up toward the vast blue of the sky. And in that blue is, you might say, a corrective to the personalness of red. In blue is a kind of unconditional vastness, a sublimity, in which there is a healing that quells the wound in the heart of red. And that healing is found in the sublimity of the vast sky. Ibn Umayl, the great 10th century Muslim alchemist, said, when these colors are destroyed, the body will have an everlastingly healthy color, the life of which will be everlasting, and that of purple redness. So there's a kind of immortality in this purple. It's the, let's say, the pain of life sublimated and from which is distilled a perfume that can never be gleaned in the absence of going through that pain. Because it's in pain, it's in sympathy, it's in the solidarity of the experience that one touches upon a profound compassion.